baby boomers, or the baby boomer generation, is defined as those individuals who were born after 1948 up until about 1957, I believe it is. This is like what also called the post-war generation. A lot of these children of that generation were born after soldiers returned home from World War II. I myself, I'm in that generation. Arnold Schwarzenegger is another one. But what really kind of makes this particular generation stand out among others is the fact that, from what I can see, the baby boomers are the first generation to be interested in extended health. In other words, we've watched our parents and our grandparents fall prey to various diseases associated with aging, including heart disease, increasing rates of cancer, and brain degeneration, and also the loss of mobility. In other words, the ability to move, the ability to move around freely, dress yourself, walk. This type of immobility or lack of mobility causes a lot of people to wind up in nursing homes. And we of the baby boomer generation decided that we don't want that to happen to us. And so consequently, this generation has a much greater interest in health. We also, just tangentially, this is the first generation that tends to keep their teeth. A lot of the generation before us, meaning our parents and grandparents, most of them, as they got older, they lost their teeth because of they didn't go to the dentist or poor dental, they didn't brush, whatever. There's a genetic factor. I don't want to get into that, but let's put it this way. This baby boomer generation is the first to be interested in health. Now, genetics, there's a lot of things that enter into longevity. A lot of it has to do with genetics, and I've seen articles where the activity of genetics tends to be played down. They say it's only something like 1/3 of the factors that determine how long you live are based on genetics. I'm sorry, but I completely disagree with those particular statements, because the truth of the matter is, to live to over 100 is almost pure genetics. In other words, unless you have the genes, certain genes, or more specifically, genetic mutations involving, for example, increased ability to repair damaged DNA in cells, unless you have these kind of strange gene mutations that favor longevity, you can do everything right, exercise, eat right, do everything right, and you still won't make it to 100 or over. Something will do you in, so to speak. You have to have those genes. But now we have to separate longevity from what they call health span versus lifespan. In other words, what you can do, what's in your power, is to live as long as possible, as healthy as possible. I mean, it's pointless to live a long time, 80s, 90s, or whatever, if you're immobile, you can't get around, your brain's not working, you need help to get dressed. That's pointless. As a matter of fact, I'll just tell you a quick story. The famous martial artist Bruce Lee was sitting in an outdoor restaurant being interviewed. It was in France, Paris, I believe, one year. And him and the interviewer, they were taking a break during the interview, and they both turned to the street. An old man was crossing the street. He was all bent over. He could barely walk. He looked like he was going to fall down with each step. Bruce Lee and the interviewer silently watched this man. And then Bruce Lee turned to the interviewer and said, "I'd rather be dead than live like that. Life is not worth living if that's the quality of life. I do not want to live like that." Of course, Bruce Lee unfortunately died about a year after this interview. But that's beyond. I talked about that in other videos. I'm not going to get into that here. What I want to talk about here is eating. I'm going to focus more on foods rather than supplements. I've talked about possible anti-aging supplements, and I cover them in extreme depth in my Applied Metabolics newsletter. If you really want to know about longevity techniques that have practical use today, subscribe to my Applied Metabolics newsletter, www.appliedmetabolics.com. I have tremendous information there on how to improve the quality of life as you age. As I said, nothing can really forestall the aging process, but could stop the aging process, but we can forestall it. In other words, there's things you do to improve the appearance of your skin, less wrinkles, less lines. There's things you can do to keep your muscles healthy. your organs healthy, your heart, and all that's covered in my Applied Metabolics newsletter. In this video, I want to talk about a couple of foods that are associated with supporting healthy aging or longevity, whatever you want to look at it. You want to have, as a general observation or rule, you want to always make sure you include enough protein to support muscle mass, because recent studies show that the loss of muscle mass, which is known medically as sarcopenia, greatly raises your risk of mortality. The best way to maintain muscle as you age, I don't have to tell this to anyone who's involved in bodybuilding or fitness, is weight training, resistance exercise, nothing better than that. In fact, I'll go so far as to say, based on the extensive research I've seen in the last couple of years, if you don't do some sort of resistance training as you age, you're in for a horrible old age. You're not going to be able to move. The sarcopenia is going to lead to brain degeneration. Everything's going to fall apart, because the body from head to toe works on a use it or lose it basis. Whatever you don't use, you lose. Whether it's brain cells, whether it's the ability to walk, you got to use it. That's why sitting is so bad. When you're sitting, your body's not moving and things start to change. In other words, your blood isn't flowing as fast as it should. It encourages injury or harm or damage to your arteries, which eventually can lead to atherosclerosis, that type of thing. So you want to make sure you eat enough protein. You don't want to go crazy on protein as you get older, because too much protein stimulates something called the mammalian target of rapamycin, or mTOR. mTOR tends to increase with age anyway, and unfortunately, excessive activity of mTOR, which mTOR is a pivotal enzyme, a protein involved in muscle protein synthesis. So when you want to build muscle, you want to stimulate mTOR, because that helps build muscle. Even steroids partially work by stimulating mTOR. However, when you get older, if there's too much mTOR, it tends to age cells much faster. It tends to foster various degenerative diseases, including cancer and heart disease. So you want to have a moderate amount of protein. You want to have the fat you eat should be healthy fats. That would be stuff like, for example, fish oil fat, which is omega-3 fat. You also want to have monounsaturated fats, which I'll get to in a minute, such as found in olive oil and nuts. And you want to minimize, you don't want to eat a lot of saturated fat. However, you can have some saturated fat, because saturated fat is needed for the synthesis of testosterone in the body. So you don't have to eliminate saturated fat like some people say. That's BS. But you want to focus on the good fats, omega-3, and again, monounsaturated. And you want to not go crazy on omega-6 fats, such as that found in vegetable oils and a lot of other foods. This is like linoleic acid is omega-6, because too much of that is associated with inflammation. In fact, there's something called inflammaging, which involves excessive systemic inflammation as you age, closely associated with a lot of degenerative disease. You also want to include foods that are rich in antioxidants, although the truth of the matter is no dietary antioxidant can match the actual endogenous antioxidants in your body that your body produces, such as glutathione, superoxide dismutase. And the ways to maintain that are through a good, nutritious diet will maintain those your antioxidant defense. In regard to specific foods that help to kind of reduce the, let's say, negative effects of aging, one of my favorites is extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is a very good source of what they call monounsaturated fats. These fats do not tend to produce body fat. If you exercise or if you're active, your body tends to rapidly burn out monounsaturated fatty acids. They have less chance of making you fat. One of the main monounsaturated fatty acids found in extra virgin olive oil is called oleic acid. And recent studies have shown oleic acid can stimulate the sirtuin-1 protein. That's one of the main cell protecting elements in the body. It actually protects the cells and prevents some of the degenerative effects of aging. And oleic acid directly stimulates it. I have some research which I've had it for a while. I haven't written it up yet in my Applied Metabolics, but in animal studies, when you give them high oleic acid diet, for example, diets featuring extra virgin olive oil, it actually stops the aging of muscles. This is animal research. They haven't shown this in humans yet, but if it pans out in humans, that's incredible news for anybody involved in bodybuilding or exercise. And by the way, ginkgo biloba, the herb ginkgo biloba, also turns off 160 genes that age your muscles. So that's another story. But a diet rich in olive oil has been linked to reduction of a bunch of different chronic diseases that tend to rise with aging, such as cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, the metabolic syndrome, which is a cluster of symptoms related to diabetes and heart disease, such as wider waist, high blood glucose, high blood lipids, such as cholesterol, and high triglycerides, that kind of thing. And also certain types of cancer. Olive oil seems to be preventative in that situation. The monounsaturated fats make up 73% of olive oil. Olive oil itself is almost just about 98 to 99% fat. And as I said, 73% of it is monounsaturated fat. There's some studies that show that if you consume a diet rich in monounsaturated fats, such as found in extra virgin olive oil, it helps to reduce skin aging because of the anti-inflammatory effect of the monounsaturated fats. It's also rich in natural antioxidants. There's an element in extra virgin olive oil called alliopurine, I believe it's called, which actually has extreme, very potent anti-inflammatory effects that have been actually compared to drugs such as ibuprofen. Not quite as powerful, but it's comparable. Let's put it that way. Extra virgin olive oil is also high in natural antioxidants, including tocopherols or vitamin E, beta-carotene, as well as various polyphenols, which also have anti-inflammatory, antioxidant effects. A 2012 study found that people consumed the diet rich in monounsaturated fatty acids had lower risk of severe skin aging. In other words, it'll help your skin. And I should also point out that the extra virgin olive oil is a key element in the probably the healthiest diet you can eat, which is the Mediterranean style diet. Focuses on fruits, vegetables, nuts, and moderate amounts of protein. But also a key element is the inclusion of extra virgin olive oil. It's probably what separates the Mediterranean diet from a lot of other diets. And the Mediterranean diet is a diet you could stay on year-round. It's not just for weight loss. It's for keeping you healthy. It's the only diet, this is an important point, the Mediterranean diet is the only diet known, besides calorie reduction, where you reduce your daily calorie intake by 30% or more, the only other diet known to promote longevity and also to prevent brain degeneration, such as Alzheimer's, is the Mediterranean diet. And again, a key element is the extra virgin olive oil. So another good anti-aging food is green tea. Of course, studies done in Asian countries where they tend to, I think the average intake of green tea, if I remember correctly, is about 9 cups a day. These aren't these huge cups; they're small cups. But they, because of that, these countries show lower rates of a lot of types of cancer, such as breast cancer and prostate cancer. They think that they could trace it back to some of the polyphenol compounds in green tea, which tend to neutralize the effects of free radicals, which are byproducts of oxygen metabolism that cause a lot of cellular damage, particularly to the cell membrane. And the antioxidants such as that found in green tea, they tend to combine with the free radicals and basically neutralize or stabilize them. One of the key antioxidant, I should say, found in green tea is called epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG. And there's another one called gallic acid. And these particular polyphenol compounds, studies show it reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease, neurological decline such as brain degeneration, premature aging, and many other chronic diseases. The polyphenols found in green tea may also help keep your skin looking young because they prevent some of the ultraviolet damage to the facial skin, which is the number one cause of aging of facial skin. The sun exposure is the number one cause of facial skin aging. In fact, there was a famous dermatologist from Pennsylvania years ago. I can't remember his name, but he made a statement. He said, if people kept out of the sun all their lives, let's say from the time they're children to all the way to old age, the skin on their face would be equal to the skin on their butt. In other words, most people don't have a lot of wrinkles on their butt. And in other words, your skin would be wrinkle-free if you were never exposed to the sun. However, I've been in locker rooms. I've seen a couple of old guys. The old guys have plenty of wrinkles on their ass, so I don't know where this guy got that from. But suffice to say that if your skin has a good amount of antioxidants supporting it, it will minimize sun damage. Let's leave it at that. Not get into hyperbole that it'll stop aging of the skin or that kind of stuff. Another good anti-aging food, fatty fish. Why? The omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. These are called omega-3 fatty acids. If you look at the nutrition textbooks, they'll tell you there's only two types of essential fat. One is omega-6, as represented by linoleic acid. It's found in like vegetable oils, nuts. It's all over the place. It's very easy to get omega-6. However, omega-3, that's a little bit different. In fact, it's so hard to get omega-3 that what's listed as the essential omega-3 fatty acid is called alpha-linoleic acid. In fact, that's not the essential omega-3. The essential omega-3 are EPA and DHA. Those are the bioavailable omega-3 fatty acids, which is hopefully are converted in the body from ALA or alpha-linoleic acid, but the body only has a 2% ability to convert ALA into EPA and DHA. I know this is a little bit complicated, but you could simplify it by simply saying eat fatty fish. It'll give you the preformed bioavailable omega-3, which helps prevent against cardiovascular disease, inflammation, and many other health problems. There's been recent studies that you might have heard about if you're into science, where they came out with these studies saying that the cardiovascular protective effects of omega-3 or fish oil have been greatly exaggerated. In fact, some studies have gone so far as to say that ingesting omega-3 fatty acids, again, is found in fatty fish or fish oil, does nothing to help prevent. That is complete BS, because there's many studies that show the opposite effect, meaning excellent preventive effects. Furthermore, the studies that showed no effects were hampered by two problems. They didn't give enough fish oils. They gave like a gram a day, and to get really beneficial cardiovascular effects, you got to have at least 4 grams a day. And the second thing is, very often they gave fish oil supplements to study subjects who are already eating a lot of fatty fish. In that situation, it was like trying to pour water in a glass that was already full. Why would you expect effects of fish oil if people were already getting the omega-3 from food? Some of this research, believe me, I'm into a lot of research because I have to study this stuff in my Applied Metabolics newsletter, and a lot of it is laughable garbage. Trust me, a large, almost a majority of published research is laughable garbage. I hate to say it, but it's true. Don't always trust research completely, but you should to a certain extent. Of course, the big plus with fatty fish or omega-3 is that it's anti-inflammatory. And the big problem, as I said earlier, with aging, you tend to have a systemic inflammation goes up with aging. That means inflammation all over the body. It's low level, you don't feel it, but it's causing tremendous internal damage, cardiovascular damage, stimulating cancer, causing your brain to rot away and lose your mind and all that kind of stuff. And anything that helps to reduce systemic inflammation will allow you to live a longer and healthier life, and fatty fish falls into that category. So you want to include fatty fish. What is fatty fish? Salmon, mackerel, halibut, sardines. Unfortunately, a lot of the fish favored by bodybuilders, such as orange roughy and tuna, are not great sources of omega-3. In fact, there's a fish called tilapia, which is also favored because of its low fat content, favored by bodybuilders preparing for a contest. Not only is it not high in omega-3, but it tends to actually have a bad ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, meaning that it'll tend to increase inflammation more than other types of fish. So from a health standpoint, tilapia, orange roughy, they're not the best or healthiest fish to eat. Another good anti-aging food is cocoa or dark chocolate. Again, it has polyphenols. In this case, they're called epicatechins. These studies show that the cocoa or dark chocolate can help prevent heart disease, help prevent type 2 diabetes, and also it improves the brain health. Some studies show that if you give a cocoa or dark chocolate to older people, it seems to rapidly improve memory, such as alleviating these things called senior moments, where you get these memory lapses. The flavonoids or flavonols, I should say, in cocoa are capable of doing that. Other studies show, there was a 24-week study that showed that consuming a flavanol-rich cocoa beverage led to significant improvements in skin elasticity and facial wrinkles compared to a control group that did not take in the cocoa. So the higher the cocoa content, the higher the cocoa content, the higher the flavanol. So you want to if you eat dark chocolate, it has to be dark chocolate, and you'll know that it's the right type of chocolate because these flavanols impart kind of a slight bitter taste to dark chocolate. Milk chocolate, white chocolate, all this, that's just garbage. Those are candy. They don't provide any health benefits at all. The only chocolate that provides health benefit are true cocoa and dark chocolate. If you're going to go for the chocolate, you want to use a dark chocolate that contains at least 70% cocoa solids and no added sugar. It'll be a little bit bitter, but it's actually quite healthy. Vegetables. A lot of people don't eat vegetables. I have a problem with vegetables myself. What I do is I blend my vegetables. I've talked about this in past videos. I throw my vegetables into this type of special blender that grinds them up, put a little water in there, throw in an apple to sweeten it up, and this way I have my kale, my Brussels sprouts, my broccoli. I get the benefits of it without having to eat it, because I don't like the taste of vegetables, but I have to have them because they're that healthy. They're a great source of fiber. The fiber feeds your intestinal microbiome, which is the colony or the collection of various microbes such as bacteria, fungi, and other microbes, which are actually extremely beneficial to health. 99% of your immune function involves a communication between your immune cells and the intestinal microbiome. Some recent studies show that having a healthy intestinal microbiome can make the difference between living and dying if you are infected with COVID-19. That's how powerful the effect is on the immune system. Vegetables are usually high in carotenoids like beta-carotene, lycopene. Lycopene is particularly concentrated in foods like tomatoes. Lycopene concentrates in the testes more than any other part of the body. The testes tends to concentrate lycopene. What's it doing there? It's thought to act as an antioxidant to protect the health of the testes and to prevent it from premature aging. And of course, if the testes are damaged, your testosterone is done. It's done. You don't make any more. So anyone who's interested in that should be considering, eating tomatoes or taking a lycopene supplement. Also, lycopene and the carotenoids. Another one called astaxanthin, which is very protective of skin health. Again, blocks the UV ray damage to skin, which is again the main cause of facial aging is sun exposure. The best sources of beta-carotene vegetable sources are carrots, pumpkins, sweet potatoes, those kind of things. Vegetables also contain vitamin C, not much, but it contains some vitamin C. Vitamin C is involved in the production of collagen. Collagen is the main structural protein in the skin, keeps your skin basically sticking out. If the collagen in the skin breaks down, along with the other main protein in the skin, elastin, that's your wrinkles, that's your lines. You get them from the breakdown of collagen, elastin, which is caused by UV ray exposure. And it could just be caused by the aging process itself plays a role. Pomegranates I mentioned in a recent video, extremely healthy. I know a lot of people don't like to eat it because of all the seeds. I myself take a pomegranate supplement because I can't deal with that. The seeds, I don't particularly like the taste, but pomegranates have excellent nutritional profile. If you eat the whole pomegranate, you're getting fiber, potassium, vitamin K. You're getting antioxidants. You're getting flavanols, tannins, phenolic acid, and lignans, all healthy. Some human animal studies show that pomegranates also help support skin aging by decreasing UVA damage. I talked in a recent video about urolithin, which is produced from the ellagic acid. Ellagic acid is found in pomegranates. It's converted by intestinal bacteria into urolithic acid, urolithin, it's called, which helps to maintain the health of your cellular mitochondria, which is extremely important to aging. When your mitochondria go, your cells die, and that's part of the aging process, of course. Avocados are good. Another source of monounsaturated fat. It helps to protect your skin. And what else? Tomatoes I mentioned because of the high lycopene content. They can also help to protect your skin. Not really a food, but collagen peptides I talked about in another video. I just saw a study like 2 hours ago before I made this video. It was what they call a meta-analysis where they looked at all the studies of hydrolyzed collagen peptides to determine if it really helped to maintain skin health and reduce the signs of aging. And they concluded, based on all these studies, that hydrolyzed collagen peptides really do maintain skin health. They reduce wrinkles and lines. So the stuff really works. A lot of people will tell you that it doesn't work. It does work. There's been a number of studies, just like, for example, that study I just mentioned, which is, again, a meta-analysis of many previous studies. There's no doubt hydrolyzed collagen does keep your skin looking younger, to put in a simple statement. So that's just, there's a lot of other foods that I could get into that help to slow the aging process. But, this video has already gone on too long. I'm looking at the timer now. It's already over 26 minutes. So I'm gonna end it now. Hopefully you got some benefit from it. If you want more information on nutrition, exercise science, ergogenic aids, fat loss techniques that really work, anti-aging research you can use today, supplement science, which ones work, which ones don't, hormonal therapy, women's health and fitness, many more topics. I cover more topics in my Applied Metabolics newsletter than any other digital publication, and my Applied Metabolics newsletter is backed up by my nearly 60 years of experience in the fitness and health industry, which is not matched by anybody who has digital publications. There's other great digital publications. I'm not going to say they're bad. Them are pretty damn good, if I say so myself. However, none of them are written by anybody with a professional writing background like me. I've been writing for 45 years. I have well over 10,000 articles published. I know how to write for the public. I wrote for magazines for 35 years. I know how to translate very complex scientific material into readable material, understandable by anyone who has gotten as far as the 6th grade. If you don't know how to read, well, I got an option for you there too. If you subscribe to my newsletter, there are built-in programs in Microsoft Windows that will actually read the newsletter for you. You don't even have to read it; it'll read it for you. So, they're text readers, I think they're called. So even if you can't read, there's no excuse. It's very reasonable. My Applied Metabolics newsletter, the monthly cost is less than a cup of coffee at one of these Starbucks places. So it's not much at all. I have probably one of the least expensive newsletters, but you get the most. 40 to 50 pages every issue, no advertisements, pure, unadulterated, pure information, no BS. I'm not associated with any company selling supplements. I'm not going to try and sell you anything except solid, evidence-based information. Subscribe today. You won't find better information anywhere. I promise you that. So www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on nutrition, exercise science, general medicine, and health. I also have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics website where current subscribers only can send me short questions about anything they might have read in the newsletter, or anything that comes to mind, as long as they're short questions. I don't answer unlimited questions. Some people have tried to send me 50 questions a week. I can't do that. I don't have time for that. And really, that's abuse. For the small amount of money I charge for my newsletter, I'm not going to give you complete unlimited access like I live my life to answer every one of your questions. It's just not going to happen. But I do answer questions of current subscribers. You're welcome to leave any comments under these videos, especially if you want any suggestions for future videos. And if you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. Thank you for listening.